In this segment, we're going to discuss issues with claims-based data. And this really segues beautifully from the last segment that we had where we discussed the importance of specificity of data. The issues with claims-based data are very, very closely related. So let's ask ourselves a couple of questions. First of all, what do we mean by claims-based data? Well, claims-based data is either data that's pulled or based on either ICD codes, that's the diagnostic code, or CPT or HCPCS codes, and those are treatment or procedure codes. So again, it's data that's basically pulled by the billing code, and hence the term claims, like as in a medical claim that we would send to the insurance, claims-based data. Again, data that's pulled based on the billing codes. Now, this really has three critical flaws, so let's ask these three critical questions here. First of all, so for ICD codes, right, if you're trying to look at claims-based data based on ICD codes, do we have the specificity? Do we have the granularity? Well, this is where our last segment segues so critically to understand this question. And looking back at our previous example, we saw how different the mild arthritic versus the severe hallux abductor valgus case is. And yet, if we look up at the top right above the center diagram, note the ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes, the diagnostic codes, are all identical for each one of those three. Again, the ICD code for all three of those very different conditions is exactly the same. So if your current data source pulls data based on claims-based data or ICD-9 data, just as we looked at the challenges with pulling based on word searches or based on the diagnosis, we run into the exact same issue here. Since the ICD-9 or ICD-10 code is identical for all three of those conditions, we don't know which one we're really evaluating. What data are we really getting? The exact same thing is true for our ulcer example. If we note here, all three of those different ulcerations have the exact same ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes. ICD-9 actually is obsolete today. Of course, we're all using ICD-10. ICD codes are identical for all three of those conditions, and yet we saw how very different each one of those are. And we saw that it's critical that we understand that level of specificity because it determines on a medical condition where it's truly indicated will obviously have a very strong effect on the effectiveness of our products. So we can see basing our data pulls on claims-based billing, particularly the ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes, will have tremendous flaws in it because, again, we don't know which specific data we're really getting. Now, let's proceed to critical question number 2 regarding claims-based data. What's the CPT code? What's the treatment code for your drug or your medical device? Answer, there isn't one. There is no CPT code for a drug or medical device. Well, let's move to the second possibility. What's the HCPCS code for your drug or your medical device? Well, if you're a pharmaceutical company, answer, there isn't one. There are no HCPCS codes for pharmaceuticals and drugs. Now, if you're a medical device company, there could be a HCPCS code for your product, but it's going to be very high level, very non-specific, getting into that issue of the lack of specificity. So there could be a HCPCS code for, let's say, you are a medical device company, and we'll use the example of a screw that a surgeon would use for internal fixation for a bone fracture or for osteotomy. So this is a screw that we would use for internal fixation. The critical point here, there is no differentiation between an AO screw versus a screw that's manufactured by DePuy Synthes J&J versus a screw that's manufactured by Into Bones. There's no differentiation between those. They all have the same HCPCS code. So we don't really know the specifics on our product. If your current data source company provides you data based on HCPCS code and your pharmaceutical product, that gives you absolutely no benefit. If you're a medical device product, not only does it not benefit you, but the big problem is you could be getting data on one of your competitors' products. That could be thrown in with your particular product because there's no differentiation. There's not the level of specificity that we need to specify one manufacturer's screw from the other manufacturer's screw for internal fixation. That is a true problem, and that should be very unsettling to you. If your current data source company is getting you data based on claims-based, or what we call claims-based data, then that data is going to be of absolutely little to no value to you. In the case of HCPCS codes for medical devices, it could tremendously skew the effectiveness of your product because you could be getting data on one of your competitors' products in that data set that they might send for you. This is a true problem with other competitors. The Starwriter patented system completely resolves this issue.